We are live right now. This is the second live stream on the channel. Um, so the Texas Rangers had some transactions today. We're getting closer and closer to the day that the Rangers have to finalize their 40-man roster. So the Texas Rangers brought people off of the 60-day IL because during the offseason, you can't stash players on the 60-day IL. So we had at least 7 players, I believe, who were on the 60-day. And then we also had to create room. So some players are no longer in the organization right now. So let's just get straight into it. So the Rangers put a lot of people on waivers, and some 2 players were actually claimed by other organizations. The rest went unclaimed. Um, so first off, Joe Palumbo, former Rangers draft pick back in 2013, I believe, 30th round. He is no longer in the organization. He was claimed by the San Francisco Giants off waivers. Every single team gets a chance to claim these guys. So it goes in order of the worst record to the best record. Another guy that was claimed on waivers was Gerald Cotton. He was claimed by the Minnesota Twins. So both of those guys are off the 40-man roster. And then other guys that were ran through waivers, but nobody claimed them was Matt Bush, Ronald Guzman, Curtis Terry, and Anderson Tejeda. They are all off the 40-man roster now, and they were all outrighted to AAA Round Rock. And so all these guys now have the option. Well, all these guys will now be minor league free agents, so they can sign anywhere this offseason. As far as Matt Bush, I do think that the Rangers will try to sign him to a minor league contract. I bet Ronald Guzman goes somewhere else this offseason. Looks for greener pastures. As far as Curtis Terry, I think the Rangers could sign him back. He did have a really good minor league season this year, but he struggled at the major league level. And then Anderson Tejeda, I don't think the Rangers are really dying to bring him back. We're actually talking on the live stream yesterday about what could happen to Anderson Tejeda. And he was ran through waivers. Nobody claimed him, and now he was outrighted. And let me talk about the players that were on the 60-day injured list for most of the year, but the Rangers brought him back, and we're going through the roster crunch right now. So they brought back Kyle Cody, Edward Kalina. We actually claimed him off waivers from the Twins earlier in the offseason. Jonathan Hernandez, John King, Jose Leclerc, Nick Snyder, and Eli White. So that's a total of 7 players that came back. And the 40-man roster was at 41. So if I'm doing my math right, so 41. Oh, with these current guys. So adding these guys doesn't really do much to the roster. And then we got rid of 6 players, so that does push the 40-man down to 36, I believe. We have 4 open spots, so maybe we actually had 42 instead of 41 on the 40-man roster. So that gives us 4 roster spots to add prospects, sign free agents, although that's not going to be enough. So I do expect that the Rangers are going to try to make other roster spots somehow this offseason. I was kind of surprised how Cody was protected because he didn't pitch too well this year and he was injured. And I think he had a setback in his rehab and he's going to be out for quite some time. So I'm surprised they kept him on the 40-man. Usually when you have some waiver claims in the offseason, like Edward Kalina, he could be gone whenever you need a 40-man spot later this offseason. And then you look at other guys like DJ Peters, Josh Spores, Dennis Santana. Those guys could be 40-man casualties. Maybe not, but if we want to protect our top prospects or sign big free agents, those guys might just have to go. Thank you all for everybody that's watching right now. And if you guys haven't seen the goal down below, I'm at around 356 subscribers by the end of the night. I want to get to 360. And if I get to 360 subscribers, I will do 60 push-ups. Sounds about right. That's my dog again. And there he goes. So yeah, so we added 7 guys back to the 40-man roster. And then we let go of 6 players. We ran them through waivers. Joe Palumbo, Gerald Cotton, those guys were claimed by the Giants and the Twins respectively. Although Matt Bush, Ronald Guzman, Curtis Terry, Anderson Tejeda, they went unclaimed and they were outright at the AAA, but they all had the chance to be minor league free agents this year. So we could have seen the end of it for all those guys, if we're being quite frank. But I do think the Rangers tried to re-sign Matt Bush and Curtis Terry. What do you guys think? Should the Rangers have protected Curtis Terry? He does have a promising bat. But do you think the Rangers should have protected him because he could sign somewhere else? But let me know what you guys think down below. Also, if you guys didn't see it, there's a Japanese All-Star that's being posted this in a few months. He's 27 years old. And some say he's similar to Ronald Acuna Jr. So sometimes those guys are cheaper than an actual free agent. And if you think back to Kohei Arihara, if Kohei actually became a 4 or number 5 starter in a rotation, and he was only getting paid $3.5 million, that would have been an extremely good steal for the Rangers because there's no free agent on the free agent market that you can actually sign for that cheap to be a number 4 or number 5 starter. So if we could get this, let me see what his name is. Japanese. I think his name ends in Suzuki. Yeah, Seiya Suzuki. So he could be he's about the same age as Nick Castellanos. If you could get him around the same price, I mean, we could think about that. Although I remember last offseason we had our eyes set on Ha-Seong Kim. And Ha-Seong Kim didn't have that great of a season with the Padres, and he's getting paid about $7 million a year for 5 years. But I mean, he does. Seiya Suzuki does have comps to Ronald Acuna Jr., which is pretty good. On another note, Arizona Fall League is going on right now. Owen White, Ezekiel Duran, Justin Foskey have been playing extremely well. Owen White was our second-round pick back in 2018 draft class, and he hasn't played much minor league baseball. But that's due to injuries, and he went through a deloading program after he got drafted, and uh, almost everybody in the Rangers 2018 draft class went through that deloading program, and he's dealt with injuries consistently, and even in 2021 this year, he slammed his hand on the ground and he broke his wrist because he was mad he let up a hit, but he has been slinging it down in Arizona, and that's exciting to see. He's our 29th overall prospect. He could be rising up the ranks pretty soon whenever they do new scouting report rankings. Another guy, Justin Foskey, he broke out this year. Hickory, he got called up to Double A Frisco, didn't pitch, or no, didn't hit extremely well. I think he was a little bit injured, so he didn't get the full reps of a full season. But it's some things that happen in minor league, and that's why he is at the Arizona Fall League to pick up those reps that he left off. But he was our first round draft pick in the 2020 MLB draft. I wasn't super excited because I was like, we should go after a pitcher. But now, since Foskey is raking, doing well, and he could be in the majors in 2 years, maybe a year and a half. That's exciting to see. And Ezekiel Duran, he is another guy that's raking in the Arizona Fall League. We obviously got him from the Joey Gallo trade. He was the headliner from multiple reports. He's raking. We're still trying to figure out a position for him. Is it shortstop? Is it second base? Third base, maybe. So, we'll have to figure out his position, but he's been raking. And we do have a lot of middle infield depth, so we'll see what happens as all these prospects get closer and closer to the majors. Is there a trade that has to be made? Will injuries play into this? Usually these things work themselves out. I remember last year with Nate Lowe and Ronald Guzman. It was like, oh man, we have so many first base options, and because Ronald Guzman was raking down, he was raking in spring training, and then we play him in the outfield. He made the team. We play him in the outfield, and then he tore his ACL, and now we outrighted him. He's not even on the 40-man. So sometimes these things do work themselves out. So we'll just have to see how this how these players progress. So, like I said, the goal for tonight is to get to 360 subscribers, and if we get there, I will do 60 push-ups on camera. Let me just see where we're at, because this live stream doesn't show me the exact amount. So let me go to my channel on my phone. We're still at 356. So make sure to share the channel with your family, your friends that like the Texas Rangers, and subscribe. Because if we get to 356 subscribers tonight, I will do 60 push-ups on camera. We have a comment. What's up, Tato? How are you doing tonight? We were just talking about, I was just talking about what I would do if I got 360 subscribers tonight. I would do 60 push-ups on camera. So make sure to share the channel and subscribe. But also, we were talking about the Brock Holt. Not Brock Holt, my bad. We're talking about the players that were claimed off waivers. That was Joe Palumbo, and he was claimed by the San Francisco Giants. And Gerald Cotton, he was claimed by the Minnesota Twins. And we also ran a few other players through waivers. Matt Bush, Ronald Guzman, Curtis Terry, Anderson Tejeda, they all cleared waivers, and no other team in the MLB wanted them. But this is because they didn't want to put them on the 40-man roster. That doesn't mean the teams aren't interested in them. So we outright them to AAA. They're no longer on the 40-man, and they're no longer on the 40-man, and now they are minor league free agents. So we'll just have to see what happens of these guys during the offseason. And I said that Kyle Cody, Edward Kalina, Jonathan Hernandez, John King, Jose Leclerc, Nick Snyder, and Eli White were all activated from the 60-day IL. So this brings our 40-man roster to 36 players. So this gives us a little bit flexibility with the prospects for the Rule 5 draft and for free agency, but we obviously need to create more 40-man spots. I'm fine with Palumbo leaving. I don't know if you listen to Tepid Participation podcast, but he said Palumbo was always reluctant to use technology to help him with his pitching. He's more old school. So I don't listen to that podcast. But that's interesting to hear. It's kind of interesting. Palumbo's already 27 years old. But that's interesting. I wonder if the Rangers are trying to get away from those players that don't use data or analytics, because think about Elvis Andrus. He just kind of relied more on his instincts more than the data. The Rangers didn't really like that. They traded him. They didn't really just trade him for that, but other reasons as well. Maybe that's why he never really truly put it together. Possibly. He also dealt with some injuries. I think he had Tommy John. He also had some Cullen thing. I don't know if that's the right word, but I think it was the same thing that Kyle Gibson dealt with and Jake Diekman. So it's tough when you deal with a bunch of injuries, but I mean, numbers, data analytics, they help a lot whenever you are trying to win. That's why I think the Rays can put a competitive team on the field. The Athletics, they can put a competitive team on the field, and they don't have a lot of money like the Dodgers or the Red Sox, the Yankees. Those guys, they can use data to their advantage, but they can also go and sign. Like, they can go out this year and sign Carlos Correa, and then go sign Nick Castellanos, and then also Noah Syndergaard. But I think some of the better organizations are able to develop the players from within their organization and get these guys playing for their team for a long time at a cheap cost. Any other questions? I kind of covered the topic of the transactions right now. I know it's not a big topic, but I thought it needed to be covered because it regards a Rangers transaction. It cleared few. How many spots did it clear? It cleared 4 spots on the 40-man roster. So right now I'm willing to do a Q&A. If you guys have any more questions. Tato. Castellano, he's gonna get the QO. I won't want to waste that on him, especially if we're only gonna give up our second rounder on the shortstop. I see where you're coming from. Castellanos is going to get the qualifying offer, and then any of the shortstops that we are trying to sign this offseason are going to get the qualifying offer. So Story, Seager, Correa, those guys are going to get the qualifying offer. But But I wonder, obviously you want to have a competitive team for as long, you want to have a competitive farm system, but I wonder if the Rangers view their farm system as super or as talented as it's been in a few years. They're willing to give up some premium draft picks to sign these guys, but that's why I am a little reluctant to sign some players. However, if you look to other players that have received qualifying offers in the past, then you don't have to give up a draft pick for them. But in recent years, the rules have changed, so you don't have to give up as much. And I need to do more research myself to figure out what the rules are, because I know the Dodgers had to give up a premium draft pick for Trevor Bauer, but the Blue Jays didn't have to give up as much capital for George Springer. So I would need to do some research myself on that. Although I do know that the Dodgers were able to keep their first rounder, but I'm pretty sure they lost their second round pick. But that is worth noting. Like, if we went after a shortstop, would we be willing to settle for a guy like a Kyle Schwarber, because he can't get a qualifying offer, so we wouldn't have to give up a pick for him. So it's the good things to keep in mind. Castellanos away from Cincinnati was a bit worse. In order for him to be valuable, he'd have to be hitting every year at the level he hit this year. I can keep that up because he can't play deep. That's true. I mean, neither can Kyle Schwarber or Willie Calhoun. I mean, although in the American League you do have the DH, but I'm not too worried about his home versus his road splits. If you wanted to worry about somebody's home and road splits, I mean, look at Trevor Story's. It's not super great. But it's kind of hard to have good home and road splits when you do play for the Rockies with the Coors Field effect. But then you look at a DJ LeMahieu type of player. Obviously, he had a down year, but he's proven that you can play for the Rockies, have the Coors Field effect, and then go have a good career somewhere else. But I wouldn't be too worried about the home and road splits for Castellanos. Obviously, the Rangers ballpark is a little bit bigger for pitchers. Like, it plays for pitchers, but maybe that just translates into more doubles and a few less home runs. But I wouldn't be worried too much about that. So who are you guys wanting to target in free agency? My number one is Carlos Correa. It used to be Trevor Story, but with down year of Story and the almost MVP season of Carlos Correa, that's where I'm leaning towards. And then after that, I'm looking for an impact bat in the outfield, maybe like Nick Castellanos, of course. And then if you don't want to give up a premium draft pick, maybe a Kyle Schwarber. And then heck, maybe the recently, well, not recently, but he's almost going to be posted, the Japanese outfielder Seiya Suzuki. You wouldn't have to give up a draft pick for him. You just have to go through the posting process. And then I think you have to target starting pitchers. I'm all for Schwarber. He doesn't cost us a pick. And also, Story hasn't been good away from home. That's super concerning. Oh, my neck. Yeah, so Schwarber, he doesn't cost a pick because he was traded. And so say Nick Castellanos was traded to a different team, then you couldn't offer him a qualifying offer. They have to be on the same team. So whenever we trade Yu Darvish to Dodgers, they couldn't offer him a qualifying offer. So that's the same deal with Kyle Schwarber. I do think Schwarber would be cheaper because he's less mobile. He's not as good of a defender as, like, obviously Castellanos and Schwarber aren't great defenders, but I think Kyle Schwarber is even less of a defender. But he's a good bat. I do think the Rangers lineup needs some lefties. So if the Rangers aren't considering him, then that's not good for the Rangers front office. And yes, like I said, I think most Colorado Rockies are going to have some drastic home and road splits. I'm assuming this is your free agency list. Carlos Correa / Seager. No Syndergaard and Eduardo Rodriguez. If doesn't get the qualified offer. Schwarber this offseason would make me happy, although probably won't happen. I definitely think we go after one of the shortstops for sure. I think that's why we traded Elvis Andrus last offseason, because we knew it was going to be a loaded shortstop class. So we wanted to see what we could get out of Isaiah. Obviously, Isaiah is a good defender, but he's not what you want in an all-star shortstop with the bat. And this free agency class, it provides a great opportunity to bolster the lineup at a premium position. So if we aren't targeting one of these shortstops, and the Rangers are doing something wrong in the front office. And I've been a little down on Noah Syndergaard because of his injuries, but I think he provides a good buy low opportunity, because if he gets back to his old form, then he could be an ace of a staff. And then I don't know how long he would demand, but then you factor that in with Cullen, Jack Leiter, Dane Dunning, and we have a bunch of fringe players who could start, maybe not. Maybe they go to relief roles. We'll see. And then we'll just see how the outfield situation goes for sure. Let me check in on the subscriber count. Still at 356. We only need 4. I'll do 60 push-ups. Although I'm going to be ending at 9:30 tonight. Just because I need to hang out with the family. Any more questions? Feel free to put them down below. Let me know if you like these live streams, if the quality is good. I think it's fun to interact with the fan base, because I like, I think commenting, I like interacting through comments, but whenever I see like the one-on-one instant, it's super cool. I really hope they have signing Syndergaard top of their list. Could be a sneaky good signing, and also could be a staff for a few years. Yeah, I think so too. Like I said, whenever they've had an injury history, I'm always gonna throw up a red flag for me. Just like Kumar Rocker in this upcoming draft, Noah Syndergaard as well this upcoming free agency. But honestly, the Rangers don't have anything to lose. Obviously, they want to be players in free agency this year, but it's not like they're winning right now. So if they miss on Noah Syndergaard, it's not that big of a deal. But if Noah Syndergaard bounces back and they get him for a little bit of a discount because other teams might be a little low on Syndergaard, this could be a good deal for the Texas Rangers. Any more questions? It's almost 9:30. Take at least one more and then I have to sign off. But I really appreciate. Last night we had 7 to 8 people watching. That was really, really awesome. A little bit of smaller crowd tonight. Not too worried. It's still fun to talk one-on-one with the fan base. Obviously, there'll be higher nights, lower nights, but it's super cool. If there's no more questions, I'm going to be signing off pretty soon. I will be doing more live streams, probably twice a week on the channel. I need to figure out my schedule with school, with the future job. Last question. I know they need innings next year, but they can always sign cheaper pitchers to do that next year. Signing Syndergaard wouldn't hurt, but nah. This is all I have for tonight. Take care, dude. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they do need innings, so you don't have to rush Jack Leiter or Cole Winn. But if you were to sign a guy like Syndergaard, I don't think you would want to rush him right away because he has that injury history. So maybe you go for a higher risk guy in Syndergaard, and you go for a more durable guy with another signing, because I think you at least need to sign 2 pitchers this offseason. So that's it for this live stream. Thank you for watching, everybody. Make sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and if you are subscribed, share it with friends and family. With that being said, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.